Welcome back to part 2 of exercise 16. I ended up calling it Wells Web Figma because we're doing some web design in Figma, doing a little prototype of a layout and then trying to put together our HTML and CSS. Now keep in mind, I've only started working with Figma in the last couple weeks, so I'm not an expert at this. I'm learning about it, but I really like it. So I don't know everything about it yet. So I'll run into issues as I work with it. You may too. That's why we're not going to do a whole lot with it, but we're just going to try to create a little bit of a layout here. And then what we know from our HTML and CSS, we should be able to overcome anything that we can. Every time I use it, I figure out something new. So one thing, as I'm in here right now, we have our rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. Now I could go here and call this one section because that may be my section element that I may use. This may be a nav element, so I could call it nav. Now whatever you name things in here won't affect it, but it helps as far as organizing, and I may even want to drag this below here because nav is first and then there's that. Now I didn't make a header one yet, so I could go up here and make a header and I'll just make it white. Everything's gray by default, so I'll go in here and I'll make it white. And if you don't want to see the grid, just do Control G and it'll go away. So that's what it looks like, and I could call that header. And I took my logo away because I wanted to show you where to get your logo in coursework. If you go here, I actually put it as a file to download. I put the whole zip folder, so if you download the zip folder, there's 3 images in there. If you just want to get the GIF logo, you can just take this. Now I think if you click on this, it'll open up in a new window, so just right click and download it and do save link as, and if you save it to your downloads wherever, it's fine. Now keep in mind, we can use this one, or when it comes time to get into Replit, we can generate images right from here too. So we could generate images from here that we can use in Replit, but either way we have a downloaded image we could bring in. So remember, I'm going to click off of everything. I don't want to be on this or on that. I want to click off, and I'm going to go over here to File, Place Image, and I think you could drag in images as well, and I just put that in Downloads, and there it is, and I'll bring it in, and I'll just put it up there first, and then I'll bring it in, and that's fine. And I may want to put on my grid just to see where it is, and I may want to put it in between those 2 columns there. If I set up a 3-column setup, I could put my button here, I could put any copy there, or whatever. With Flex, we could set up things to be like, 2, 1, 3 or something like that, so that they have a flex grow, so that each element kind of takes up its own column if you want to do that. So we'll do that first, and I'll do Control G, and maybe I'll throw my headline on here. I'll go to my text tool, and I think I kind of started it over here, and I'll draw a box, and you might be like, well, what's going in that box? Well, let's go here. Your property is our priority. I went to wellslawnservice.com. I could put it up somewhere else, but I'll go here, and I'll just take your property is our property, and that'll be the headline. And I could go in here, and it has Inter as the font. I'm going to use like Roboto Black. That's what they were using. Now these are whole Google fonts, so these are great fonts to use. And I'll just use regular Roboto, and I'll make it black, which is the heaviest. And I think I had it like 84. You could just keep going up to see how big it is. There's 64, and it goes up to 96. That's too big. And also, when you see the box like this, it's coming out of the box. They have these things here. This one says auto width, this one says auto height. I'm going to use auto height, that's the middle one, so that it expands down. I don't want it expanding out. If you hit this, it'll keep going that way so that all the words go across. So you want to use this middle one here. And I'll double click on here, and I'll try like 80, see how that looks. And that's pretty good. I could go a little bit more, 82, and that's fine for now. And then I'll put my copy below it. You can actually go here. Now I think I got some copy from here. Now again, wellslawnservice.com. Might as well go here and just copy that and go back to Figma. Now this is autosave, so you actually don't have to save. If you try to do Command S and save, it'll tell you Figma autosaves your work. So just if you're wondering about that. So if you go back to files or anything like that, you won't have a problem. Now let me take my text tool and make another block here. And you can go down below this, it doesn't matter. I'll paste that in, and I'll highlight all of this, and I'll go down here, and instead of Roboto Black, I think I'll just do Roboto Regular. And instead of 82, let's try 16 would be like body copy. Let's try like maybe 20. That's too small. Maybe 24 right now, because it's kind of like a subheadline. I wouldn't say this is necessarily body copy. It could be 24, 26. I think 32 is probably too big, so maybe 24. We'll go with that for now. And if you want to adjust like the leading or the line height, you can go here. They have auto. You go over auto and kind of go right or left. It'll kind of go up on that little icon. And I'll just go up to like 130 for now. I think that's what I did on the other one. I'll try 140, see how that looks. There's 140. That looks okay. And while I'm at it, I'm going to copy this. And I can drag copy and do an option drag. And I'll move that up there. Now, if you don't see it, why don't I see it? It's because the header should be up here. And let me move this off the page if I can, so I can see it. Now, what I'm going to put here is I'm going to go back up here and put this full service year-round maintenance. I'll copy this line. I'm not sure what the main heading is or what the subheading is, but I'll just go here, paste that in there, and this will probably be that dark green color. So I'll give that the green of the logo. And I'll make it aligned right, and I'll make it a lot smaller, be like 48, and I'll see how that looks over here. And that looks pretty good. It's starting to look like a website. That's all we want right now, is it looking like a website. And I'll throw an image in here. How will I throw an image in here? Well, I'll try this. I'll put an ellipse over here. Let me make it smaller. Squash it in a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'll try to align it with the top of my text. And what I could do is just go find like a cool lawn care picture. See if I find something really cool that would look good in there. I had a lawnmower in the other thing. It's something like that. I mean, that might be okay. I mean, it's kind of lawn care. I don't know if you're thinking lawnmower or tractor or anything like that. You know, maybe something like that. There's something. Let me try that. Copy image. And then if I go here and I do, let me try this. Let me just try Command V. And Command V actually pastes right in there. So that works fine. And you might be saying, well, how do I move that around in here? Well, it's actually considered a fill. So if you go in here to where the fill is, and they have some things that you could change here. You could go to crop, and what you could do with crop is kind of move it around a little bit. Also, notice that you have all these options here like you would normally do in Photoshop that you can do here to actually adjust the, you have shadows here. You could lighten up the shadows. How cool is that? You could do that right here in Figma. But I'll just put that in here and see what it looks like right now. That's not too bad. You can kick up the contrast if you want. Now, I actually have my columns on there, so let me turn off my columns, and you can certainly make it brighter. So again, that's just going to the fill image, and just kick up the contrast maybe a little bit, exposure just a little bit. You could warm it if you want, warm it up a little, whatever. All right, so that looks fine. If you wanted to put like a stroke on here, it's just like grab it. You could go down here and you add a stroke. So maybe I want to put on a white stroke. Go here, add a white stroke. If I want to make it bigger, you could go side to side here, or just put in a number. I'll probably use something like between 4 and 6 and try that out. Now, even before putting that W thing over here, I'll do my Control G. Maybe I'll just throw another thing over here. Maybe I'll just do the same thing. And I'll make another ellipse. Just put another image over here. I'll look for, maybe they have something with pruning or something. There, I'll throw some pruning in here for now. I don't know if that's a great thing, but anyway, I'll just throw it in. I'll copy image. I'll go back here. While that's selected, just do Command V or Control V if you're on Windows, and it'll paste right in there. And remember to change the positioning of it. You could go to Fill and just go to Crop, and that'll let you kind of move it around if you need. And you can resize it in here too. If you just go in the corner, you could just resize it too. So you could crop and resize when you're in there. I was thinking there was this thing that said no crop, but that's actually in Grab It. But you can just resize on the corner. So this works pretty good. And anything else you want to do here, I'm just going to hit enter when I'm done. And if you don't want to see things off the page, and actually you might be saying, well, why is that cropped and this isn't? Because this ellipse is up here. So let's organize this stuff over here. Let's move our ellipse down. And that's basically on top of section, that ellipse. And let's just call it image left. And ellipse 1, let's just call that image right. And we'll just put these both kind of on top of section, which is the background color. Then we have nav, and we don't have anything on nav. We're going to put some buttons on there, and I had header turned off. I'll put it back on so it's just white. and this is on top of header, so that's okay. So these things are on top of what they should be. The Wells logo should be on top of header, so I'll put that up there because we don't see it, and it's starting to show up. So, and what I'll do now is before I mess it up, I'll just give it the same properties, because all I have is a stroke. I have basically a white stroke on there, so I'll give it a white stroke. Now, like I said, there is a way you could probably copy it so you can give all the same properties to everything that you do, but for now, I'm not going to waste time if I don't know where everything is. But that's for, I think this was for, yeah, that's fine. So that looks okay. That's not a bad looking web page. I'll do Control G just for now, just to start off. We don't have any buttons on. We're going to do navigation next. And let me see, the last thing I'll do here, maybe I'll just increase this line spacing. Maybe I'll make it 150. See how that looks. Looks good. All right, so that's where we're at right now. We don't have to save it. Let me take a break. We'll come back with part 3. Part 3, we'll do our buttons, and then what we'll do is we'll start to build our HTML page from this. We can generate images right from here. We can take our text, copy our text right out of here, and we could also get properties. So any of this that we want to go in here and inspect, we can actually have some of our CSS properties that are in here already. And that way it'll save us some time. So I think this is a pretty cool tool to use. I just wanted to introduce this to you. I know it's late in the semester. People are just kind of burnt out and wrapped up, but I thought it'd be neat to kind of introduce this since we did do it in the graphic design class. So we'll be doing our buttons next, and then we should be done with Figma. Then we'll be working on our HTML and CSS.